I know some political actors will want you to believe that our current numbers represent a failure on the part of government. Do not begrudge them. They need to make such comments for their political survival. On the contrary, we must be emboldened in the knowledge that the 4,700 persons infected so far with the virus have been identified, taken out of the population, isolated, and are being treated. The implementation of our strategy of aggressively tracing, testing, and treating is our surest way of rooting out the virus. This early identification of persons with the virus ensures that they do not spread the virus to others. We are provided with the opportunity to treat them, and it helps us to understand better the dynamics of the virus. The rapid implementation of all of our policies has resulted in our low infection, hospitalization, and death rates, some of the lowest in Africa and indeed the world. We certainly must be doing something right in Ghana. Our country has administered more tests per million people than any other country in Africa. And in fact, the World Health Organization, WHO, has reached out to us to share our sample pooling experience with other African countries so they can adopt this strategy and also ramp up their testing capabilities. It is thus vital that we continue to maintain the measures of enhanced hygiene and social distancing protocols to contain the spread of the virus, as they are the surest way to a quick return to a life of normalcy. All stakeholder bodies I have interacted with over the last 3 weeks in the health, labor, religious, chieftaincy, educational, hospitality, tourism, and creative arts sectors share in this opinion because collectively we believe they are essential for our very survival. These groups are also being engaged on the way forward towards the easing of these restrictions so that our social and economic lives can go back to normal whilst protecting lives at the same time. Soon those engagements will enable us to design a clear roadmap for the easing of restrictions. In my address to workers and the nation on May Day, I announced the extension of the closure of our borders for 1 more month as the means to continue halting the importation of the virus into our country. Tonight, I've come into your homes to announce that the ban on public gatherings, as set out in Executive Instrument number 64, has been extended also to the end of the month, i.e. 31st May. So during this period, there will continue to be a ban on public gatherings such as the holding of conferences, workshops, parties, nightclubs, drinking spots, beaches, festivals, political rallies, religious activities, and sporting events. All educational facilities, private and public, continue to remain closed. There's still a ban on funerals, other than private burials conducted with not more than 25 persons. It is noteworthy that the police are arresting and prosecuting persons, irrespective of their status in society, who flout these regulations. We cannot allow a few persons, for their narrow, selfish interests, to jeopardize the health, well-being, and safety of the larger population. If you fall foul of the law, you will face its full rigors. Fellow Ghanaians, like you, I would like to see an end to these restrictions. I know the difficulties each and every one of you has been through over the last 2 months. You've had to alter completely your way of life. You've had to stay at home, except for specified purposes. You cannot travel outside the country. You cannot go to church. And you had to cancel activities usually associated with Easter. In this holy month of Ramadan, Our Muslim brothers and sisters are having to pray at home instead of congregating at the mosque and foregoing the public celebration of the Eid. Parents are having to bear the extra burden of providing care for their children who, instead of being in school, are currently at home. Operators of trotros, taxis, buses, markets, hotels, restaurants, bars, and nightclubs have lost their patronage of their clients and, as a result, lost much-needed incomes. Significant numbers of people have unfortunately lost their jobs because of the impact of the virus on our economy. Most of us want to hang out with our families, friends, and loved ones in a social setting, but cannot. Uncomfortable as these restrictions have been, we have no option but to stay the course. We can only guarantee the safety of each other if we continue to adhere to them. As I've said before, these restrictions cannot and will not be a permanent feature of our lives. And shortly, I hope to announce the steps for systematically easing the restrictive measures to bring us back to normality. Each one of us, however, can help to speed up this process if we continue to practice the measures of social distancing, washing our hands with soap under running water, refrain from shaking hands, and wearing our masks whenever we leave our homes. These measures must be respected by all. We do this not just for ourselves, but also to lessen the workload on our health workers, who continue to be at the forefront of caring for those affected by the virus and caring for the sick in general. On our part, in addition to these